This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back, y'all. Fire up the group chats, get your draft boards ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, Earl and I are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first timer, this is like your millionth league, right? I use Yahoo Fantasy for years, and I love how smooth the draft day experience is. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins August 4th. So stay tuned and start creating or joining your Yahoo Fantasy League at yahoofantasy.com/locked-on-NFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/locked-on-NFL. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet.
There it is. There it is. So, of course, we got to get to Shedeur Sanders and his performance. And, what was your initial thoughts on Shedeur's performance? Let's start there.
Well, I'm going to say it again. He's having, and I hate to put it this way, but he doesn't have the same talent around him as the other quarterbacks had, right? So I believe he was 3 of 6 yesterday. Maybe 4 times he was sacked. He was running for his life. Let's just call it what it was. It looked like he was in Colorado again, with some of the lesser talented guys in the game. And when you see his talent, you see what he played with a little bit better talent the week before. He showed out, played well, got comfortable really quick, and made some plays. I would say this. I think Shedeur needs to learn when to get rid of the ball and when to take a sack. Learn he doesn't have to go backwards all the time when it comes to scrambling. But I honestly don't think yesterday was a fair assessment. I just don't. I don't think yesterday was fair. I don't think yesterday, for me, I'm not even marking that as something. I'm marking it as an X, like incomplete. Because I need to see him, and I'll even say Dylan, but I need to see Shedeur with better talent around him. He hasn't thrown to number 1 receivers yet. He hasn't thrown to Judy in a game. He hasn't thrown to Harold Fannin in a game. He hasn't thrown to Njoku in a game. He hasn't played with those guys. He hasn't played with the starting offensive line yet.
I don't even think he's throwing to Jamari Thrash. Even if he goes a step further, like for the last 2 weeks, Dylan Gabriel had at least Jamari Thrash to his disposal. You know what I mean? I don't think Shedeur has had that. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's had that.
Like it's almost like, I don't want to say detrimental, but it hurts him that he didn't play the week before against the Eagles. It hurts him. I know he had an oblique injury, but it hurts him because now he played the first preseason game. He was really good. Didn't play the second game, and then the last taste in everybody's mouth is what they saw yesterday. And that's just, to me, it's unfair. And I don't understand Kevin's plan with the quarterbacks. I just don't understand why. I don't understand if this is a true quarterback competition, I'm gonna give all 3 guys a chance to play with the ones. I'm gonna give or just maybe this is just the Shedeur and Gabriel. I'm gonna give those guys the chance to play with the ones and give them a fair shot at saying, how can you run my offense? Can you really play and have timing with Judy? Can you really get the ball out quick? Can you command the huddle? Can you talk to your offensive line? Can you slide your protection? There's so many things that goes into it. You don't even give them a chance to. And you put them against these guys that are probably not going to make the team. And then you expect greatness or you expect good things to happen. And it just looks terrible. And it looks terrible to me from a Kevin standpoint. Like, why are you putting him in that position? Anybody in that position.
So you know how we just spent the last 5 minutes and I kept kind of alluding to, I thought Kevin did a phenomenal job putting Dylan Gabriel in positions to have success, right? Man came out, operated from the gun. He ain't have him under center like he did last week. He had him running with some quality guys. He got the opportunity to execute a 2-minute drill. He got like he put him in a phenomenal situation to go out there and have success. And like you, I can't say the same for Shedeur Sanders. I listened to the broadcast while I was taking notes and watching that game. And I'm not going to sit up here and make excuses like, every single sack was on the offensive line. I thought the one, for example, where he lost 24 yards, I thought Shedeur clearly should have threw that ball away, should have got rid of the ball. Yeah. But I got to disagree with the Hall of Famer. Joe Thomas said he felt like that there was some situations to where Shedeur could have stepped up in the pocket to try to kind of help, offensive line alleviate that pressure. And as I'm watching the broadcast, it's kind of like, well, how, when? where was that going to be a possibility? 72, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, man, but he was getting beat like he stole something. Literally, like Shedeur was dropping back and he really didn't have an opportunity to execute anything. And then on top of that, the Browns at one point during midway in the third quarter had 2 total yards of offense. So there was no complimentary running game. There was no offensive protection. And just the people that he had around him to try to go out there and do something, it wasn't the same. In my opinion, what should have happened was he should have played behind the same offensive line that Dylan Gabriel played behind, and he should have had the same wide receivers and tight ends to his disposal that Dylan Gabriel had. I thought that would have gave you a true assessment with both of them playing in that same game. Never mind what the Rams do, right? Never mind what the Rams do, because at this point, the ones is out the game. You feel me? And to me, Shedeur is somebody that you know is going to be on your roster, running with the 4s and the 5s, guys that's not going to be there. That's not a true evaluation. He should have been running with guys like himself that you know are going to be on this roster. Again, don't worry about what the Rams is doing. All right, I seen Dylan with this set of offensive linemen. I seen Dylan with this set of wide receivers. Third quarter, Shedeur, when we get the ball, you're going to come out with the same set of offensive linemen. You're going to come out with the same set of wide receivers, and we're going to try to see what's up. That's not what happened. The offense overall, they came out stale, and they came out without no energy. And to your point about that being on Kevin, let's say hypothetically you really wanted to get a look at your 4s and 5s coming out the locker room in the third quarter. Okay, cool. Why wasn't the message that, you know what, this is preseason game number 3? What you about to put on tape, the energy level you go out there with, I'm watching, Andrew Berry watching, and everybody else is watching. Just to me, the way that they came out, that falls on the head coach, because that team was not prepared in the second half. And people might disagree or feel like people are trying to make excuses, whatever the case may be. This is my opinion, and this is how I see it. I don't understand what the plan was, right? And then we get to the 2-minute warning. Before we get to the 2-minute warning of things, what's your thought on what I just said?
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. And I'll take it a step further. Why? I got an email about cursing, so I'm not gonna curse. Why? why in the world is Tyler? Is it Huntley?
Snoop, yeah.
Why is he on the team? Why is he on the team? I don't want to see him get reps. Like, if
I
you
can understand.
I don't, Earl. I don't under. You have 150 quarterbacks on your roster.
I can understand why he was there to Carolina week. Outside of that, I don't know what it was. I'm still scratching my head about the whole, 2-minute warning thing and things like that. But yeah, I don't really.
What are you doing? It's a joke right now. It's a joke. Like, at least at the very least, give Gabriel the same amount of snaps as Shedeur. Give them the same, because it was like what you were saying. Give them the same offensive line, the same playmakers. Let those guys compete fairly. And because you got a whole set, like, I just don't understand the mindset of Kevin right now. I don't understand what the heck is going on with this quarterback. To me, it's we got fooled.
Yeah, we
got
did.
flat out fooled. It's not a competition. They had this already planned in mind. Maybe Kenny messed some things up maybe a little bit. I think he was in the mix, but we got flat out fooled.
Man, listen, we're gonna get to the whole, Kevin and the quarterback competition, because I got a strong opinion on that. But before we get to that part, man, I want to close out on Shedeur. First of all, before we talk about the actual 2-minute warning, this is what Shedeur Sanders had to say about not going back in the game for the 2-minute warning. This video is courtesy of ESPN.
I mean, it wasn't my decision, so, of course that's a quarterback's dream, and that's what every quarterback, thrives for, is those moments. So, yeah, I didn't know I was out. Yeah, I didn't know. I was on the bike. I was powering up. I was powering up for that 2-minute drive because, that's just a situation every quarterback dreams for. That's many situations I've been in before, and I thought I was in. So then he told me I wasn't in, and I was like, okay.
Why would you want to see him? Why would you want to see him in that situation? Like, put him in that situation and see what he got. See what he can do. See if he has command of the offense.
This is what Kevin had to say after the game about that situation. This is Kevin Stefanski on that decision. If you listen close, I believe he says at the end he just wanted to see Huntley. Just take a listen.
Yeah, obviously we didn't play great as an offense in the second half. That's never on one person. So we can be better in a bunch of areas. I just felt like we wanted to get Snoop a last drive.
He wanted to give Snoop that last drive. For what? For what? Snoop is not going to be on this roster. Again, it goes back to what we just said, and we might as well get there now. This was never a quarterback competition. And I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I really believe that it was a quarterback competition based on what he said. See, when you come from the background of working in the courts and you around judges, what's on a record and what's said literally, that's what you go by. You can't really try to like come up with your own conclusion or draw your own conclusion on what's being said, or I thought they said, or this is what they mean. No, Kevin Stefanski said this was going to be a quarterback competition. It wasn't. I think Joe Flacco was going to be the starting quarterback from jump. The reason why I feel that way is because from the beginning of training camp to now, Joe Flacco took as few as reps as Shedeur Sanders did. Probably fewer, if I'm being real. And again, if this is a competition, all right, Joe will get in there. Get your share of reps too. But the fact that Joe took so few reps, that told me that Kevin Stefanski already knew that was his starting quarterback. And then it came down to Kenny Pickett, right? And it was like, okay, Kenny is getting all these reps. People is walking around talking about Kenny is QB1. I don't think Kenny was never QB1, but I do think he was de facto QB2 from the jump. I think that's the reason why even with the hamstring, he was still allowed to participate on 7-on-7 drills when they were in those joint practices against those opposing teams. I think that was always going to be the situation. When it comes down to the rookie quarterbacks, you said it, G. Bush said it yesterday on the post-game show. This is an analytic-driven front office. So this narrative of, making us feel like we boo-boo the fool or our eyes don't work, that can't happen. Because analytically, if this was a true quarterback competition, you would have sat down with a plan, and Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders would have had literally the same amount of reps with the same unit of players.
Yep.
That's what a competition was. If it was a competition for QB1, Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett would have had the same amount of reps with the same level of talent. That didn't happen for either quarterback that was in that building. Andrew Berry said during a broadcast yesterday when he was asked about carrying 4 quarterbacks, and I quote, not much of a decision. All 4 have done what we asked. So we sat up here for weeks talking about who's the odd man out. There was never no odd man out. It seems like to me the Browns plan on carrying 4 quarterbacks no matter what. We've done shows talking about what does Shedeur Sanders need to do to move up the depth chart. There was never nothing that he can do to move up the depth chart. Some people might even have conversations on what does Dillon Gabriel need to do to be QB2. Man, I bet my bottom dollar, hamstring bad and all, Kenny Pickett, your QB2, week 2 versus the Cincinnati Bengals. This was never a quarterback competition. I feel like the fans was lied to, and all Kevin had to do or whomever had to do was just be 100, be more transparent about what was going on, and make us more settled and not create this confusion and chaos like they did.
We were bamboozled. I think everything you just said was the truth. When you look back and you see the amount of reps that Joe did not get and did not receive, and then for him to be named the starter without even playing in a game or practicing any, he was in their head, he was already the starter. Like it was a done deal. It was a done deal. Looking back at it, it all makes sense now. The rookies were never in the conversation to be the starter. They were never in the conversation. It was Flacco, it was Pickett, and then they were going to pick and choose who would be number 3. And I'll be honest with you, you still got Deshaun on the roster. You got the 2 rookies. You got 5 quarterbacks that are in your building. And if you keep 4, you're the biggest joke in the NFL. What are you doing? What are you doing? You might as well trade somebody. Trade Pickett and keep the rookies, or trade Shedeur. Trade. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like this whole situation of quarterbacks just does not make sense to me. And I'd rather you come out straight from, hey, this is what we're doing. We drafted 2 rookies. They'll be fighting for number 3 spot. Joe's going to be our guy until otherwise. Like, just tell me straight up. So we know we can disagree with it, but we know what's going on. We know exactly how you're going to handle it. Don't go out there talking about it's an open competition and all this other stuff. And it just doesn't even, or why even draft 2 quarterbacks?
All right,
I keep going back to
look.
that.
So, all right. So, shout out to Shane Garrett. Shout out to Shane for watching the show. He said he doesn't owe the media anything. And Shane, to your point, okay, let's say he don't owe the media anything, right? He's not obligated to let us in on what the hell his plan is. But don't you feel like you can kind of set this up to where you're not kind of like, misleading people on what's going on? Don't you feel like Kevin, as smart as he is, that they could have came up with a better way of telling the fans or telling whoever about how they were going about things? When you use the words quarterback competition, you don't have to play in the NFL. You don't have to be a football guru to understand what the word competition means, and then use your own common sense to see that that's not what's going on. So Shane, I feel you to a degree. He don't owe us anything, but like you've been in those locker rooms as a player. If you was a player inside the Browns locker room, even from your position, would you kind of be looking like, man, like it's too much going on?
It's a distraction. It's a distraction because you don't owe the media anything, but it's it's your job as the head coach to tell the truth. It's your job as the head coach to lead your franchise. Your job as the head coach to let the media know. And talking to the media is a part of your job as an NFL player and an NFL head coach. So you can control your narrative and say what you want to say, but don't say competition when it's not a competition. You're lying. So now when the media holds you accountable, it can't be an issue. It shouldn't be an issue. Like that. That's just what it is. Don't say something and it's not true. You control the narrative. The media can ask whatever you want to ask. You can answer it how you want to answer it. And how he handled it, it was wrong, period. So he doesn't owe the media anything, but maybe he needs to stop misleading everybody and be more careful with the words that he's saying. And I'll be honest and I'll be fair. Maybe I just think different. Maybe because I'm from Cleveland. Maybe because we are fans and we grew up watching the Browns. We want our head coach to be honest. I'd rather any person be honest with me and be upfront and tell me exactly what's going on. I'll have a lot more respect for that particular person if you tell me from jump what the heck is going on and how you're going about it. You don't got to go into details. Just say Joe's our starter. We're fighting for number 2, 3, and 4. We'll wait and see what happens when Joe is our starters right now. It's that simple. It's not hard to do. It's not about owing the media anything. It's about you doing your job well. And right now, from a quarterback standpoint, you have not done that well.
Big facts, man. The chat is going crazy. A lot of mixed opinions in here. I feel how I feel. And I just feel like a lot of things could have been put to rest if it was communicated better, if we had more clarity, on some situations. Andrew Berry also spoke on Shedeur Sanders, and he talked about 2 things that he really appreciated and what he really liked was his mental and physical toughness. He alluded to the fact that Shedeur went through this crazy draft process, right? And we all know what took place from February until when he got drafted, even from the time that he's been drafted until now. And he alluded to how he's always blocked out the noise, stay focused, and stay working on the work. He talked about the physical toughness, about how, he got himself prepared to go out there and play in this game. And earlier this week, Shedeur spoke to the media, and he talked about having a lot to learn. Before we play that clip, another thing he said was that Shedeur went from playing in Colorado and in the system to where like the language and the terminology, it was pretty basic, so to speak. And this was Andrew's words. He said, here's the example. It's like ask somebody who speaks fluent English to learn how to speak Mandarin fluently. That's exactly what he said. And so to me, what I gathered from that was it's not a matter of if he knows the playbook or the system or not. It's not a matter if he can quote unquote play football. It sounds like to me, this is one of those, okay, he's getting the terminology down. And the reason why I said that is based off of what Shedeur said. And for everybody that kind of makes it seem like that, he's not aware of what's going on, this is what he had to say in his press conference before the preseason finale against the LA Rams.
I know my time, whenever that is, I'll be ready for it, and I'm going to embrace that. But in due time, you know, I got many things I need to fix, many things I need to work on, and I'm not oblivious to that. So all I look at it as I'm getting more time to cook. I'm getting more time to warm up. You know, that's all it is.
Man said he ain't oblivious to it. He know what's going on. And I just think like when people okay, we talk about the media, and I said this yesterday when I was on 92.3 The Fan. You know, we got to do a better job, myself included, of kind of clarifying what we mean at times when we say things, or for people who write when they put certain things out there, because we also know that being trained on this side of the coin is, it's our job sometimes to trigger emotions. But sometimes when you trigger emotions, you still got to make sure that like you putting something out there that makes sense. And I just felt like it was a lot of narratives that made it seem like he was dumb, that he didn't really know what he was doing. And I felt like that was really, really unfair. And you know how like that can make you a little uneasy, like when you hear stuff like that, right? Like that ain't cool. And so to me, it's like, okay, well, if this is about like learning terminology, that makes sense. You know, I can get with that. And that ain't no knock to him. Like that's a lot of quarterbacks. And I'll tell you another thing, for people who want to harp on, you know, these performances, I kind of feel like both of our rookie quarterbacks has played better than the number 1 overall pick during the preseason. Cam Ward ain't throw a touchdown in the preseason, bro. He had a quarterback rating of 77.7, 52.6 completion percentage. He completed 10 to 19 passes for 145 yards. He didn't turn the ball over, but he didn't put the ball in the end zone. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that's some hometown bias, but drop a 1 in the chat if you feel like both of the rookies for the Cleveland Browns outperformed the number 1 overall pick. Drop a 2 in the chat if you think I'm tripping. And if you just go back and you watch every throw from Cam Ward, right? A lot of what people want to kind of dissect and tear apart about Shedeur Sanders, guess who got some of those same issues? Guess who's going through some of those same roller coaster rides? The number 1 overall pick. And guess what? He didn't took every single rep with the first team from the beginning of camp to now. And it looked like to me that he ain't really that damn far ahead.